damn it. I was muted, son of a bitch. I went off on a whole thing. Went off on a whole damn thing. Okay. Now I have to decide if it was a thing worth going on again. I gotta make a call on that. Refreshing water. So, okay. So here's what I was going off on. So Robo brought up 35 degrees. And then I had to look it up because obviously you're in the UK, so it's Celsius. I had to look it up. Now, I got the Fahrenheit temperature, and yes, that is very hot. I'm going to offer a, pardon the pun, potential hot take on the Fahrenheit versus Celsius thing. Celsius is absolutely what should be used for anything scientific. It makes way more sense for that because at 100, it's boiling water. At 0, it freezes water. That's an awesome scale to go from 1 to 100. Perfect for scientific use, measurement, etc., etc. But for the human experience, I think Fahrenheit is better because you're over there, and granted, it makes sense to you because you're used to it, but think about it. Does the number 35 feel like it properly conveys the heat you're currently dealing with? Or would you feel like being able to say, oh, it's 95 degrees would better express how it feels to you, just as a number? I feel like Fahrenheit conveys the human experience of heat, whereas Celsius is absolutely what should be used for science. Anyways. Sorry that I was initially muted. When I think 95 degrees makes me think it's about to boil. The thing is, though, that's how it feels, though. At the human level, 35 degrees Celsius, as a human experience, that you feel like you're boiling. That's what I'm saying. Hope folks are doing well. Hello to everybody. Reminder, I actually meant to do a pinned comment. Reminder that I will do my best to keep up with the chat. However, I make no promises. If you do a super chat donation, which I immensely appreciate, I will not only guarantee that I will respond to your comment or question, but you get the little gay heart of appreciation from me to you. And it's Pride Month. Don't you want to support a queer during Pride Month? It sounds like a slur when I say a queer. I should have said a queer person. Like, there's something that just makes it sound like an insult to just say it that way. You know, a queer. And it's not even just that. A queer, a straight. Yeah, I feel like that, heck, even things you wouldn't normally consider to be things discriminating. A short, a poor. Yeah, it just sounds... Ugh. I'm used to talking about a temperature in Celsius, so no, it's all what you're used to. I'm sticking with my guns. Is that the same when us British say having a Chinese? Oh yeah, that's an off-putting phrase. Of course, I'm still thrown off by the fact that you people put S at the end of math. I have my maths class. I need to ace my maths. God, it throws me off so much. It's rather amusing considering we use a mix of imperial and metric anyway, driving for miles, ounces for baking, kg for weight, unless we're weighing a human. Well, yeah, cripes. In the vernacular, you folks still use stone over there. So, like, yeah, it's a little all over the place. Let me make this perfectly queer. Very good, Jabugi. But yeah, someone who speaks with a lot of people that use Fahrenheit, thinking about it as a percentage of body temperature, that is fine as well. Went to my first Pride Fest 10 days ago with my GF, who's trans. Congrats, Coyote. I hope you had fun. I hope it was a lovely experience. What if we switch to Kelvin? It's like 310 then. Oh, God, I forgot Kelvin as a metric. I feel like you could make the same argument the other way. 0 Celsius is very cold. 32 Fahrenheit doesn't hit the same feeling of coldness. Generally in the UK, we're closer to 0 Celsius most of the day. Well, here's the thing. You're talking to the wrong person to make that argument, because I live in Vermont, where in the winter it will get down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is a reality of my life. Like my life living where I live with Fahrenheit, my life is lived from -10 to 95. Everything sounds hot in Kelvin. Well, that sounds like a flirting thing. Oh, don't you know? Everything sounds hot in Kelvin. I'm sorry. Apologies. I was gonna say I'm a little high strung tonight. I'm not. I've got ambient energy. In Minnesota, we get to -40 where F and C line up. Yep, you do have that experience. Well, like by raw temperature, I think the worst it's gotten in Vermont that I've experienced was -20, but that's without wind chill. With wind chill, we can get into that -40 range when it's really bad. But that is atypical. It's much more common around here that we are dealing with like 0 to 5 degrees as the ambient air temperature, but then -20 with the wind chill. So the only time I see people using Kelvin is when they're talking about stellar objects. The only time I see people using Kelvin is when they're talking about that Star Trek timeline, which Starbush already referenced. So how about Rankine? I don't know, but still, I have no idea what that is. Respecting 105 Fahrenheit on Thursday. Oh, lovely. Do your best to not die. That sounds frivolous, but like that high heat is a genuine health concern. Oh. My province is -40 in the winter and +40 in the summer. Well, since you're saying province, I'm assuming Canada. Some parts of Canada have some wild swings. It's also worth noting that British homes are built for winter and not many have air conditioning. Yeah, I've heard that. Loved your worst Doctor Who cliffhangers list. Was surprised the Ronnie reveal in the Interstellar Song Contest didn't get a mention. The thing is, and like this is a mental block, because I think of some of the stuff that I did put on the list, and it probably technically should have qualified. But like I do have a little bit of a mental block in that when I think cliffhanger, I think of something that interrupts mid-story, whereas I would consider that to be much more of a hook tacked onto the end of a finished story to lead into the next one, which isn't quite the same thing. Now I say that, but I'm pretty sure I had at least 1 or 2 entries on both lists that fit that description. This is just me more explaining why it wasn't really in my head. Recently, we rewatched a few season 1 NCIS episodes, and man, was episode 19 super transphobic. It's even to the point where most of the filmmaker regret even making that episode. I'm unaware and probably glad for it. File that under I'll talk about it if anybody pays me, but leave it at that. Perhaps we could invent our own temperature scale. How about temperature measures in Trump armpits? How about we measure it in reflecting pool algae blooms? 0 and Rankine is absolute 0. Oh, well, if we ever hit that, we're all screwed, so. I get anxious and depressed if I don't go for walks every day, so I once went for a 14 kilometer walk while it was 100 Fahrenheit. Well, like I say, good grief, but there was, what year was it? Might have been, I think it was 2020. I did actually get into running like for about a year. I don't anymore, but yeah, no, when you get into the habit and you're like, I got to get out and do this, yeah, you aren't necessarily paying attention to how hot it is because by the end of it, you're sweating anyway if it's long enough. Do you know the Canadian proverb that tells us revenge is a dish that is best served cold with maple syrup? Ugh. If we're talking cold and maple syrup, then I'll have a little helping of sugar on snow, but that's enough for me. Did you ever see Sunshine from 2007? I have reviewed it. I think even on the main channel because I don't think I'd started Council of Geeks Break Room yet. So at the time I did that. So I think that review's actually on the main channel because I was doing commissioned reviews there. Have you seen the 1983 film Strange Brew? Nope. I'm aware of it. I know what it is. I have never seen it. Looks like we're doing okay. I was a little bit paranoid starting the stream, wondering who was going to show up, just given some of the nonsense I've had to clear out of the comment section lately. Looks like they've moved on, which is good. Even Michael Weatherly likes to pretend that episode never happened. I don't know who Michael Weatherly is. I'm assuming the creator? There was a mouse in my... Ew. Well, that'll teach you to drink beer. What are we drinking tonight? Water. Crystal clear, refreshing water. I've also had the opposite of that. I've gone for long walks in the snow and made myself sick. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. That reminds me, I was really into UK Shameless, and they had pretty good gay rep. But one hideously transphobic episode that put me off the series for good. Yeah, that can wreck a good thing. You know what's shocking is how many queer-related episodes like from the 70s and 80s are shockingly good even by today's standards. Like, at least respectful. And then, like, we like to think of the 90s as a better time culturally, but you get into the 90s, I actually feel like the transphobia ramped up a lot. In television, at least. Movies, it was always kind of, meh, but I feel like TV got worse. Probably been said, but it was 93 Fahrenheit in Wales today. No air conditioning. Whew. My sympathies, well, Welsh wrestling geeks. I hate walking in the snow. I mean, I don't mind walking in the snow. It's, yeah. I don't know. You need proper footwear. If you've got the wrong footwear, yeah, it sucks. Hosehead is the hero we need. I'm assuming that's a reference that I don't know. That's good water. Sorry, Full Strange Brew quoting has been activated. Ah, gotcha. There's a drag queen appearing in EastEnders for a Pride episode, which people are kicking off about. Of course they are. Yes, the series already had a drag queen back in 1986. I reckon less was said back then. Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, you could argue the overall stance of gay rights was worse back then, well, especially in the UK, because you have frickin' Thatcher. But, like, at a cultural level, I actually feel like in some ways, at least in terms of our entertainment, queer characters were allowed to exist a little bit more. Now, granted, I mean, well, no, never mind. I was going to say, granted, they were usually just one-off, very special episode sorts of things, whereas now they're more regular characters. But, I mean, we're talking about a one-off character regardless, even with the thing now, so that's irrelevant. I mentioned Strange Brew because there's talks with Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas about doing a sequel. Rick Moranis seems to have been bitten by the bug again, which is nice. Like I absolutely respect the hell out of the man for retiring when he did and for the reasons he did. But you know what? If he wants to get back to it. The other day, I responded to a few negative comments about you with the intent of starting an argument, but no one engaged. That was annoying, but probably better for my mental health. It probably was. I do not encourage anyone to get in fights on my behalf. Don't take it upon yourself to defend my honor. I have very little to begin with. You don't need to be expending your energy trying to protect it. The UK has a big panto dame culture, so in theory, we're more okay with it. Queens break free caused issues with the band and drag in the US, but not in the UK. Yeah, I know there's the history of pantomime stuff, but like I feel like that made it more okay for a while, but like the culture war has just become so embedded that I don't know if that holds true anymore. I mean, like I say that as an outsider looking in, so you know, shut my mouth, I suppose. The algorithm loves a good fight. It does, which is probably why the algorithm does not like me as much as it could. There are so many fights that I could get into, and I choose not to, and it probably hurts my income and YouTube career. But I sleep better at night. The Jaboogie, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate you immensely. 42 link to 6-7 as a headcanon, 6x7, for instance. Are we really doing the 6-7 thing? I don't understand why some people just won't let others be happy because they're not happy. I don't think this is a conscious decision, and I don't want to speak, for anyone in specific, but I know I've definitely encountered people in my life who had a mentality that basically broke down to, ultimately at the end of the day, it pretty much amounted to, well, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, and I'm miserable. Why should they get to be happy? And that sounds terrible, and it is. These were not nice people who I've encountered who are like that, but I have encountered it. Panto dames occupy a really weird position in pop culture. It's like you can cross-dress on stage as long as everybody understands it's funny because it's humiliating. Yeah. I looked into it once. It's a whole thing. Saw Masters of the Universe tonight. It's probably the fact that I didn't need to look at his face and his voice was unrecognizable, but Leto was actually pretty good as Skeletor. I've heard that. I don't care. I still have no interest in watching it. Like when people are unironically saying Jared Leto might be the best thing about a movie, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's a big don't bother. Then they say we'd be kings and rock stars. They lied. We're pissed. AKA Tyler Durden attitude. Yeah, a bit, but like, I think that there's a phrase in psychology called grieved entitlement. Although Innuendo Studios also called it Tyler Durden syndrome, where the white cishet men are particularly susceptible to this, where they feel like the world was promised to them and, you know, the world sucks. Now they're angry, and if they lack the cultural literacy to recognize that the systems in place that promised them a better life were A, denied to tons of people, and B, also were only ever built to placate them. If they don't have the cultural literacy to recognize that, then it very quickly turns into a matter of who stole the life I was supposed to have. And if they see people who aren't them being happy, that's a very easy target for anger. Tron Ares was my biggest guilty pleasure of last year. Will not be rewatching it. Will not be watching Masters of the Universe. I still haven't seen that. I don't know if I ever will. I still would have preferred Defoe as Skeletor. Almost feels a little obvious, honestly. When the comedian David Mitchell was at Cambridge in the 90s, he did a version of Oedipus Rex where Jocasta was a panto dame. Okay. Okay. I have no opinion on that. Do you have any interest in seeing Supergirl? I do. Will I get to it? I don't know. Like, trying to get to the movies is a very big pain in my ass. Trying to find the time to do it is very difficult. So I don't know if I'll get to it. I wanted to see the Backrooms. I didn't get to it. Obsession is currently playing near me. I don't know if I'm going to get to that. It's, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Like, honestly, there isn't really a ton that I'm super excited about this year. Are you going to react to the Forgotten Island trailer? Nope. I did see it, but no, I wasn't planning to react to it. It looks good, for the record. I think it looks very good. I had other stuff to do today, so I was not up for doing another trailer reaction. Leto's Skeletor voice sounds like he's doing a Tim Curry as Darkness impression. Well, like, the bits of his voice that we hear in the trailer just sounds super post-production tweaked. Like, it doesn't sound like him at all, and I'm like, how much did they muck with his voice in After Effects? I will be seeing Supergirl next week, and I also will be seeing the final Jackass movie. That's a combo I never thought I'd say. Forgot there was another Jackass movie. Do you think the animation style looks like it's aping K-pop Demon Hunters? No, the animation style is taking its cues from Puss in Boots' Last Light. You need to remember how long animation takes. That animation style was locked in well before K-pop Demon Hunters blew up. So, no, I don't think that at all. The Tiptoe series review, is it one you're still doing? Don't think I've missed it. I was never really planning to do it. I have no idea where it's going to air that I could get at it. I don't have access to, what is it, Channel 4 or whatever. I don't know how I would access that, and I'm also not sure I'm in the mood for it. So, yeah, no, it's really not on my docket right now because of my annoyance with RTD. I kind of don't want to deal with his stuff right now. And then on top of that, I don't even know how I'd see it. And yes, I know, yar, but like, I don't do that. Not for moral reasons, but because I get paranoid about what I'm going to end up with, and going to end up with something that breaks my damn computer. Trista, thank you very much for the super chat. Been missing the lives. Hope you and everyone in the chat is doing good. Thank you very much for that. I hope you are as well. uh, the anti-Disney grifters were really hoping Masters of the Universe would beat Mando/Grogu at the box office. Didn't pan out. Yeah, I mean, of course, they just went straight back to talking about how um, Mandalorian Grogu is the lowest performing Star Wars movie in a while. But like, it was literally always going to be. It's a it's a TV, it's a literal TV continuation. When was the last time a TV continuation did gangbusters? The only reason it did anything near what it did was because it's Star Wars. It's still so weird to me that they even made that. Have you seen the trailer for Wildwood? I did. I reacted to that one. I am hoping to see that one. The winds of high seas are fickle. Yes. Yeah. And I am not of good fortune when dealing with that kind of stuff. So X-Files Fight the Future is the only one that comes to mind. Yeah. And even that, like, that was a relatively inexpensive movie, so they just got away with it. When was the last time a TV continuation even got a major theatrical release? Well, I don't know. I don't feel like looking it up, but yeah, like that. If you're measuring it as a Star Wars movie, is it underperforming? Yes. If you take it for what it actually is, it did fine. You say that, but TADC finale had a better opening than Mando movie. Depends on how you measure it. It had a higher per screen average, but it was in way fewer theaters. So as a raw total box office number, no, it did not have a better opening than Mandalorian Grogu. If you are measuring how much money was made per screen, it did better. But that's actually not super uncommon with a well-planned limited release, because if you release it in the right markets with the right sort of marketing push, then yes, you're in way fewer theaters, but you're way more likely to sell those theaters out. So you end up with a much higher per screen average, even though your total box office is much lower because you're technically not even a wide release. My autism makes me too much of a rule follower to do a Luffy. That can be a thing, sure. Just picked up the box set of Westworld at a yard sale for $5. Stokes because I've never seen it. It was a great deal. That is a good deal. First 2 seasons of Westworld are great. Third season is meh. I didn't watch the 4th season. But the first 2 seasons are great. Some people will tell you only the first season is good. They are wrong. Second season is good. It's not as good, but it is good. Coyote Azul. Corniest, most cheeseball film or TV show you like? G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra. Probably. I love it for its corniness and its cheesiness. I legitimately do. I need to pop over to the Discord and answer the questions that have piled up there. I'll be back as quickly as I can. Let's get through these. Let's see. In your experience, how do you maintain watching Star Trek, Star Wars, or Doctor Who when it has toxic fans, yet you gave up on Inside Number 9, which also has toxic fans? Because I had investment in Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who. Star Wars and Star Trek I grew up on. Doctor Who I was well and truly hooked in before I started seeing the toxic fan elements. Inside Number 9, I watched and talked about the episodes of the first season and was immediately hit with a fan base that called me too stupid to understand the show for literally any and every criticism I had, even if it was minor. So since I had no existing investment in Inside Number 9, I was immediately put off the show because practically my first experience, or at least very close, my first experience was watching it, but then almost immediately after, like a week later, I'm being bombarded with absolute nonsense, and my brain goes, if this is who likes this show, I don't want to be here. The lack of pre-existing investment before hitting the toxic fandom is a big factor. Why do you think Pixar writers after Toy Story 3 don't understand how to write Buzz? Like in Toy Story 4 and 5, he is reduced to a single joke throughout his role in those movies. Well, I haven't seen Toy Story 5, so I can't speak to that. I think the simple reality is Buzz didn't have anything to do in the Toy Story 4 story because it wasn't his story. Like the first two especially, but definitely the first three are a lot more about that relationship, whereas 4 was really only about Woody in terms of who had an arc and who was on a journey and whose story got wrapped up. So Buzz was the hanger-on he felt like. I mean, it's honestly kind of surprising they were able to make both of them feel like they had a good place within the framework of the thing for 3 movies, because it's a very common thing when you keep around characters for no reason other than the audience likes them and wants them to be around. Yeah, you had a reason to have them initially, but then they're just hanging around and you don't have as much with them to do. It's a very common problem, and I'd actually argue that Toy Story staved off that problem for longer than most. Have you seen the Netflix show Lucifer? If so, what are your thoughts on it? I saw the first 3 episodes when it was on Fox, and it didn't hook me. Like, I know some people really love it. One of my former partners really got into it, but it didn't hook me. I don't know what to tell you. Should the lore established in the Gameverse pilot have been spread across multiple episodes? Like, even if it left people frustrated and not fully understanding the show until the full series came out? I don't know. I don't know because, like, they actually don't do that much of a lore dump. It's just such a complicated setup that I don't like. They'd have to literally simplify the entire premise, I think, to I don't think you could just like, I think if you tried to have less lore than is in the pilot, it would have been worse. I guess is where I'm at. In that most recent podcast for Frack This Podcast, you talked about how the narrative unintentionally implied homophobia exists in the Battlestar Galactica universe. When you're doing world building in setting up in a setting really removed from our present day Earth, do you need to explain why a bigotry that's common in our culture would be present there? Like, it always bugs me when homophobia pops in fantasy settings without explanation, because I know a very specific and contingent chain of historical events led to it in our culture. I don't think you need to explain why a bigotry we're familiar with in our day-to-day lives exists. I will always consider it a plus when you don't just mirror the current bigotries and prejudices of our patriarchal and heteronormative society, and because that's just what's normal to you. If you don't do that, that's a bonus. I don't usually knock things too much for failing to do that. What bugged me about the Battlestar Galactica thing was that it is something that was done unintentionally, and like, that's a very easy thing to do, to be clear. I don't think you have to explain like why these prejudices exist, although if you don't, it does sort of indicate your blind spots. If you just have the prejudices mirrored from our real world and they're just taken as read, I think that is revealing of your blind spots just as a person. And like, I'm not even saying that judgmentally. I had that happen with my own book. My line editor pointed out that I've told this story before, so I'll be quick. I had references in earlier drafts to stairs and no references to ramps. And she wasn't even bringing this up and being like, you need to fix this. She was just like, here's a thing you did because you imply a lack of accommodations for people with mobility difficulties. I'm not saying you have to fix this, but I'm making you aware of what you did, and then you decide if that's something you want to deal with or not. And I did actually make some adjustments to that because that was a blind spot for me, and she brought it to my attention. So like, nobody's a bad person for having blind spots, but I think it's just revealing of that as a general thing. Would you say the Amazing Digital Circus fans are worse than like Star Wars or Doctor Who fans, or is their toxicity just more noticeable because it's unusual for a fandom of something like that? I think it's just a matter of the toxicity being way more integrated with the standard discourse. Like and granted that I'm about to make kind of a vibes-based argument. I can't back this up with data, but from what I saw, it feels like something like Star Wars or Doctor Who is better at least partially quarantining the bad faith actors, the rage merchants, the people who are hate watching the show, and sort of shoving them off into their own corner. Whereas everything is all mixed together with the Amazing Digital Circus, and you have the bad faith grifters, haters, and trolls just fully mixed in with the general population. It feels like there's almost no quarantining or even attempt at it going on in that fandom, and I think that's the bigger problem. Theories has recently said that while he liked the 13th Doctor scene in Reality War, he thinks it would have made more sense for it to be Susan who helped 15 through the regeneration, because Susan's return was built up to, and it might turn out to have been the last opportunity to reunite Susan with the Doctor. Do you agree with this take, or do you think the 13 cameo we got fits better? I think that if it was possible, that would have been better. Here's the thing. Theories is kind of assuming, as do most people who make these kinds of things, that it would have been possible, because I have zero doubt that that entire thing was thrown together incredibly quickly on an incredibly tight time scale with basically no money. Now, the reason this is relevant is they probably had to go with whoever they could get. And if Carol Ann Ford was traveling, or if she was booked for events, or if she was filming something else, because she is still working, then she might have not been available. Now, if it was equally possible to get her or get Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, yes, she would have been better. But I'm not presuming that they were equally viable logistically. Since it has become a bit of a meme how often the Master teams up with the Cybermen and New Who, what other species do you like to see the Master team up with? First of all, that phrasing throws me off. Has it been that often? It's been what? It's been 3 times. I guess that's semi-regularly. The thing is, though, I never think of it as a team-up, because the Master's pretty much always manipulating whoever he's working with, whoever he or she is working with. So I never think of it like a team-up. Like, they're not working together. The Master has found a way to manipulate and or control them. So I don't think of it in that language. And I don't know, I'm up for seeing the Master manipulate and work over whoever they can manage to be honest. Which do you think is the most disappointing second episode for a debut writer? Nightmare in Silver or Orphan 55? Ooh. Okay, well, since this unfortunately necessitates talking about Neil Gaiman, let's start with the usual big asterisk and disclaimer. Anything that I have to say in regards to the works of Neil Gaiman comes with a massive pulsing asterisk, and on the other side of that asterisk, in all capitals, is Neil Gaiman is a monster. All right? Understood? Moving forward. I think of those two, I think Orphan 55 was actually the bigger disappointment, because I forget if I actually confirmed this or if it was just a suspicion I have, but the way Gaiman's writing felt, and this felt like it was the case for both The Doctor's Wife and Nightmare in Silver, he's kind of notorious for writing way more than they can fit into an episode. And I think the difference is that what he wrote for The Doctor's Wife compressed better, whereas what he wrote for Nightmare in Silver didn't compress down well. And, is it worse? Undeniably it's worse, but in a way that's like, yeah, this kind of happens with your process. Orphan 55 was from Ed Heim, who wrote It Takes You Away. Now, It Takes You Away is one of it is the best episode of the first Jodie Whittaker series. It is one of the most interesting episodes in modern era Doctor Who, full stop. And Orphan 55 is just trite schlock. It like that honestly feels like a much bigger drop off, because I can barely even see the hints of what was so good about It Takes You Away in Orphan 55. Yeah, that one's worse. I bet this has been submitted before, but here are the 3 questions. What is your name, Vera? What is your quest to finish this beverage? What is your favorite color? Depends. I was gonna try and make a thing, but I had no idea where I was going with it. Favorite color, forest green. I'll just be honest. Okay, I am back in the live stream. Any new super chats come in while I was away? New. Cool. Hey, Nit. Good to see you. Maybe because the Star Wars and Doctor Who fandoms are much older, people have more experience managing the community. I mean, I think there's that, and also just the fact that I talked about this in the video. The TADC fandom skews young, so it's not just about, you know, how long the fandom's been around. It's like who's most active in it, and I think it is a young fandom in terms of how recent the thing is, and also in terms of the age of a lot of the fans. And yeah, I think. Again, I don't like to use a dismissive phrase like the kids don't know how to behave, but the kids don't know how to behave, or at least enough of them don't know how to behave that it snowballed. How about that? Just wondering, have you ever seen 500 Days of Summer? I have. I haven't rewatched it, but I remember liking it a lot. I remember thinking it was very good. Speaking of shows that started great and fell apart, I've been watching Once Upon a Time, first 3 seasons, great. Seasons 4 through 7, just a downward spiral. Never got into that one. But yeah, I mean, most shows don't go out on top. For some reason, the one that's leaping to my mind is Gotham, which the first season is okay. Seasons 2, 3, and 4 are glorious trash. And season 5 is not awful, but like you can feel that when they were told this was their last season, rather than craft something that would fit for last season, they were like, oh, well, I guess we're going to take our 2.5 seasons worth of ideas and try and cram them into one season. And you can feel it. Have you seen Obsession? I have not. I would like to. It is playing near me, but I have not gotten to the theater since Amazing Digital Circus Last Act was the last time I was in the theater. Is Jax being a rabbit meant partly as reference to Bugs' gender bending? I have no idea. Can it be interpreted that way? Sure. Is it meant to be that way? You'd have to ask Gooseworks. Which 2 doctors would you most want to see interact at least once? I personally think 9 and 12 could really have some fun banter back and forth with each other. We can't because one of them's no longer with us, but 2 and 12 leap to mind. I feel like they would drive each other up the wall in a really entertaining way. Favorite sweets or candy when you were younger? Most things. Honestly, I don't know. I think I defaulted to Skittles for a while. Have you seen his Dark Material show? I reviewed the first 2 or 3 episodes of that on a commission. It didn't hook me enough to stick with it, so yeah, like I'm sure it was better than the Golden Compass movie, but like that's a low bar. Once Upon a Time started off great because it put a unique spin on classic stories and told an original tale from it, but season 4 got Disney incorporated and they never recovered. Yeah, I remember the point at which, because like I did wonder for a while, like, will I ever like catch up on the early seasons and try and get into the show? And then I heard they were bringing in the characters from Frozen. I'm like, oh, never mind. 3 and 12 feel similar. 3 was less sassy. I'm not sure I agree with that. 3 could be quite sassy indeed. Sadly, I'm a bit over Doctor Meets Doctor. Like, if I had a show about me meeting myself, I mean, like, at this point, cross Doctor stuff doesn't super engage with me, but, like, I can still think what might be fun. I can at least get that far. You know that 14th Doctor story about the signal that makes everyone argue and think they're right about everything? RTD's recent bad takes remind me of that. Ugh. Moving on. Which member of the digital circus would you say you identify with the most, or is that too personal? I'm not sure I have an answer to that. I can tell you some of my favorite characters are, but they aren't my favorite characters because I most identify with them. So I don't think I actually have an answer for that. Kinger and Bubble, for the record, are my favorite characters. But I'm not sure I could say I identify with either one of them. I just like them a lot. Actor being dead didn't stop 12 in one meeting. Yeah, I barely gave that a pass. We do not need any more of that. Going back to your April Fool's video. I'm still proud of that. If Gene Wilder is the fourth Doctor, would Madeline Kahn be Sarah Jane? Either her or Gilda Radner. No. Gilda Radner would have to be Romana. So yeah. Yeah, it would be Madeline Kahn. We could get a David Bradley-esque actor for 2, though as much as I love him, Reese Shearsmith isn't the pick. I just don't want it done, Amelia. I gave a pass to Bradley because they very cleverly kind of backdoored him in with an Adventure in Time and Space. But, like, it's one of those cases where, like, you got away with it once, please never do it again. It's like By Generation. In that way, you got away with it once, never do it again. Then they did it again. Yeah, the Frozen storyline wasn't even like abysmal, but they are ripped point by point from the movie, which is against the whole concept of original adaptations. Yeah. Is Doctor Who's greatest strength also its weakness, being able to tell any story and appeal to many, but given time the fans' opinions polarize until the writers can't please anyone and ending each era? I usually don't take audience appeal into my mental calculations as to when I think of something's strengths. I just don't factor it in because I think if you are worrying excessively about who you're appealing to, then you're probably coming at what you're doing backwards and not doing a great job. But here's what I'll say. The ability to tell any story in any setting and almost any tone can become a weakness if a majority of the audience settles on what they think are the best ones and you keep doing other stuff. But, like, I don't think that's actually ever been the case with Doctor Who. Supreme Omega! Thank you very much. On Spawn. I don't know how we got on Spawn, but okay. Oh, boy, that takes me back. Despite his look, is he really a 90s anti-hero? Because for a 90s anti-hero, he actually can be empathetic, caring, and has some heroic attributes. Well, an anti-hero is supposed to have some heroic attributes. Like, okay, first of all, we're dealing with the fact that 90s comics anti-heroes weren't even anti-heroes. 9 times out of 10, they were villains who were main characters. Like, honestly, Lobo is a villain who's a main character. Calling him an anti-hero, I think, is a stretch. And then, like, so much of Image's lineup, like, freaking, God, what the hell was it? Youngblood. They're, like, almost all of them are just flat-out terrible people who are designated hero by the story. So, I think the 90s concept of anti-hero, I don't think even fits the concept of anti-hero. I think that was something else altogether. Spawn is, compared to a lot of the ridiculous nonsense that was going on in the 90s, has more heroic traits than a lot of the other anti-heroes at the time, but he is absolutely still an anti-hero. His powers literally come from hell. He kills the people that he doesn't like. His background is as a war criminal, and he's not actively seeking redemption for that, not at the start of it anyways. He's acting out of purely selfish motives to try and see his wife again. He's an anti-hero, absolutely. Spawn could have been a huge franchise if Todd McFarlane hadn't gotten in the way. I'm not sure how much he got in his own way on that, actually. Like, later on, he absolutely got in his own way because for some reason he forgot how to run a business, despite the fact that he had been successfully running multiple of them at once. I don't know if he got hit in the head or something in the mid 2000s or what, but I don't think that he was the problem. With Spawn sort of not going as mainstream as it could have. Arguably, Venom is a villain that's sometimes a hero. See, the thing about Venom is he's only a villain in a Spider-Man story. Anything else, he is a hero. He's a more violent than typical hero, but any story in which he's not dealing with Spider-Man, he is the hero of that story pretty reliably. Hope I'm not too late. What are we talking about? It's been all over the place, Black Cover. Was talked into watching season 1 of The Crown. Do not see the appeal. I understand why people might like it, but I really didn't like it. I hear that as a hot take. I couldn't tell you. I never watched it. My mother liked The Crown. But I never watched it. Were we discussing whether Spawn is an anti-hero? We were at one point, but the conversation has been all over the place, so... I don't care for McFarlane nowadays. He's an AI advocate. That does not surprise me. Like, here's the thing. I used to be a soft defender of McFarlane, like, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. Not a major defender, but just I think the guy gets more crap than he deserves. I'm not anymore, for the record. I think that over time, his worst impulses have just become his personality. I think is what has happened to him as time has gone on. Since we've been jumping around on shows, did you watch Hannibal? I did. It's so good. That show's really good. Oh, it's so good. It's so messed up. I'm still stunned that aired on network television. It bowls me over that show was on broadcast network television. Not even cable. Oh, man, that show was good. That said, I'm not super mad that it got canceled. Just because they were starting to catch up to the stories that had already been done in film before, and I found that less exciting. Like, I wasn't super excited to see their version of Clarice Starling or Buffalo Bill or any of that. So I'm actually kind of, while you know it ended in a way that clearly it wasn't supposed to end at that point, I'm actually kind of okay with it having stopped where it did. Thoughts on the new Spider-Man trailer? My thoughts are available to YouTube members and Patreon supporters. Short version, some promise in there, for sure. I liked it better than the first trailer, because there's less emphasis on Peter being miserable, which miserable Peter is canonical, and it is an accurate way to depict Peter. I just don't like it as much. Do you plan on reviewing Invincible? On its own, no. I don't plan to do a dive into it beyond what I watched of it for my Redemption Arcs video. Coyote Azul, thank you very much for the super chat. There was a revamp of Liefeld's Prophet comic that turned a throwaway character into a Mobius-esque weird sci-fi epic. basically any good thing that's ever happened with anything Liefeld created was because a better writer came along and went, I think I can do something with that. I mean, that's what happened with Deadpool too. Like Liefeld, all right, it is overly reductive to just call him a bad artist. Liefeld is a particular artist who can work. He's not a very good writer. I think, and I don't know if he's ever fessed up to this, but I think it's really evident that Liefeld, when he had a couple characters take off, he realized, oh, if I'm the creator of these characters, I get like all these residuals as they continue to get used. And it just felt like he created 5 million characters just to throw everything at the wall to get as much income as possible in the hope that some of them would take off. And some of them did, but like it so much like you claim the character of Prophet as a throwaway. I feel like 95% of characters Liefeld ever created were throwaway characters. If I'm being honest. Do you plan to watch Invincible properly? I don't know. It's not on my current docket. Do you think it's possible to do Debbie and Nolan getting back together in a non-gross way? Possible? Maybe. Difficult? Extremely. Is there a villain you would be interested in seeing in a possible Spider Noir season 2? For some reason, the Lizard leaps to mind. Oh, you know who'd be real good? And like we've never had in a Spider-Man movie, the Chameleon. The Chameleon would be great for a second season of Spider Noir. Like for a detective to go up against somebody who can hide in plain sight like that, and like to really challenge Ben to use his detective skills and not just his spider skills, because this guy can just look like anybody. Oh, that'd be real good. Now I'm going to be disappointed when it doesn't happen, because nobody ever uses the Chameleon. Liefeld strikes me as an idea guy, but can't bring things forward very effectively. I will agree with the caveat that he's a 5-idea guy, and he just kept reiterating those 5 ideas over and over and over and over again. That reminds me, Beyond the Spider-Verse is still a year away, and will hopefully be worth the wait. We do not complain about the wait, because it meant hopefully, we'll wait and see what if we get reports on this again, but hopefully it means they did not overcrunch the animators the way they did on Across the Spider-Verse. To be fair, they used Megawatt, which I never would have guessed they would pull. Yeah, true. Megawatt's such a weird character because, like, especially in Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery, you have Electro. Why does this guy even exist? Which is why nobody remembers him. I saw someone throw out Abigail Thorne as a possible future Doctor, and would love to hear your opinion on that. I don't think it will happen, unfortunately, but I think she would be phenomenal myself. I mean, look, if it happened, I'd be open to it, because I'm open to wanting to like anyone they cast. Based off what I've seen her do, I have a hard time picturing it. Doesn't mean she can't do it. It just means my brain can't currently get there. But that's more a limitation of my imagination. But like, I generally say that about anybody who you pitch as a future Doctor. What do you think of this person? Because like, all I have to go on is their previous performances. And with very few exceptions, almost nobody has given a performance where I would go, that person would make a good Doctor. And if they have, I'm often just going, okay, well, that's just too reminiscent of other stuff. Like, Patterson Joseph, I think, would have made a great Doctor, and I base that largely off the character he played in Neverwhere. Again, sorry for mentioning Neil Gaiman-related stuff. Fuck that guy, but I'm talking about the actor. But, like, the reason I thought that was because I saw, what he brought to that character. I'm like, that would translate to a version of the Doctor very well. But since the Doctor is a pretty unique character, you don't get the chance to play characters like that very often. So with most actors, you tell me an actor, I'm going to go through mentally in my mind their filmography or as much of it as I know, and I probably won't find a performance that makes me think Doctor. But that doesn't mean they can't do it. It just means they haven't done something already that I can see as translating that way, if that makes sense. The art style of Shrek 5 is distracting. I know it's unavoidable, but it still bugs me. I don't love it either. Like, somebody pointed out that, and I didn't check if this is true, but somebody brought up the possibility that it's the How to Train Your Dragon animation team working on this, and that the animation style more resembles what they do, which would explain some things. Like, my main actual grievance is that they did thin out Fiona specifically. Like, they literally thinned her out. They took away her double chin. I think they shrunk her nose a little bit even. Like, that actively bothers me. But I'm not super excited to go rush out and see Shrek 5 anyways. I'm planning to skip it regardless. I'd actually like another female Doctor, but an older female Doctor for some reason. I still think Olivia Colman would be a very good Doctor, personally. I think my pie in the sky pitch was Tilda Swinton. But anyway, we've actually gone over time, and I am going to wrap it up there. So thank you very much for joining me on this one, folks. I hope everybody is having a good Pride Month. Stay cool to the best of your ability. Try not to get overheated. This weekend's video, I'm actually taking a bit of a gimme. I'm putting out a compilation video of my reviews for the first season of the 15th Doctor's era because I need some wiggle room to get some other stuff done and try and get ahead again for what's coming up later on down the line. So, yeah, that's what's coming up in the immediate. So everybody take care of yourselves. Be well, be safe, be kind, and remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings, and until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!